in that push of constantly adapting and adjusting to our environment, we have to do that within the realm of risks to our well-being. I chose this quote. The last time we met, we talked about change and how it's difficult for people. And really, the only permanent in life is change and risk. Because, to be completely free from harm and risk is, to me, to my understanding of it, the one condition in life we're all trying to avoid. But the cynefin framework allows us to kind of look at how our decisions and how our ability to affect positive change in shifting contexts is important. And a lot of research went into this framework. The word cynefin, as I understand it, goes back to a Welsh word to describe community, because I think he saw shifts in context influencing communities. So I think most of what our current safety solutions are based primarily in the chaotic and simple realms. And we tend to look at things very linearly. We're very much in favor of cause and effect relationships. We like those, they make sense to us. But the reality is trying to apply simple solutions to complex problems leads to a lot of failure. This particular, I just started breaking up, well, what are the hazards that are influencing us all the time? I started thinking about, let's start at the inner ring. We send people out on a daily basis, go find the hazards, implement our control mechanisms, do your work, let us know something changes, and be tuned to the environment. And when it works well, everybody's happy, we get things done, the enterprise moves forward. There are those hazards that we identified that we can't really control and keep moving. We'll use arc flash as an example of de-energizing, and people, load up on PPE to do things energized and roll the dice. So while not fully abated to where the individual is protected, there are measures taken to lessen the effect of those anticipated hazards. We also start to recognize too, we start to see people normalizing things. Like in the early days of arc flash clothing, people were very, well, it's heavy, it's thick. And they started understanding that, well, this isn't really designed to protect you as much as it is to minimize injury. So then they started taking it a little more seriously. Now I think it probably has just the weight of common clothing. And I don't know that people really pay attention to it that much. So it's just our normalization of the things around us. And we start getting out into these unmitigated hazards, the stuff that, well, we saw them, we knew they were there, but never had a problem with it in the past. So, it's nothing to worry about. It's unlikely. And those we just, whether we do it explicitly or tacitly, we take that as acceptable risk. And we start to see leadership emerge in this realm particularly in our frontline workers, who tend to look up for, as a social structure, what is safe, what isn't safe. Do I fight social pressure to raise my hand and say something's wrong, or do I just go with the flow? Human nature is generally go with the flow, and a lot of times we see how those get started. One of the things at the bottom of this is, I said the right answer at the wrong time is still the wrong answer. You can have the right answer if it's the right answer within a simple context. It may not work in a complex context. So it's kind of constantly, again, just like individuals have to attune and adjust to their environment, these Frankenstein-like entities that are comprised of humans around a central idea, we kind of suffer from those same characteristics, as much as I think tech engineers would like to think they can take the human out. But, you know, our entities are a reflection of who we are.
You know, those are just things to help us understand or know that there are a lot of different hazards, a lot of different risks, a lot of different stuff going on. We don't process it that way all the time, meaning we don't look at that and go, okay, this is in that seventh circle from the center.
Right. No.
Okay.
No. This is just a generalization of trying to communicate complexity and understanding the limitations of our controls.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, it's
Ron, let me hop in on that. And I think we see the world oftentimes that when you look at reason's Swiss cheese model, is that we always see linearity.
Yeah.
And therefore, when I have that right answer under these conditions, you know, under linear, it's simple. But
yeah.
The fact is that we have the potential for failures happening all the time that we have defenses against. And that the cheese itself is, everybody sees the cheese as static, but the cheese is getting bigger, smaller, the holes are moving, the diameters are changing. So that's what got you from simple to complex, to complicated to complex. Am I reading that right?
Yep, absolutely. The cheese moves. Interestingly, I don't know how many are you familiar with Weick and his dynamic non-events. Carl Weick and Kathleen Sutcliffe, the University of Michigan, done an enormous amount of work on he's kind of the founding father of the HRO, high reliability. And one of the things he's yeah.
It was Managing the Unexpected was the breakthrough book.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's done a couple. There's a great article out on it's how the creation of dynamic non-events, which I think are safe results, where he compares or he uses the context of wildland firefighters and smoke jumpers to you know, how they address the unknown, the emergent, what do those things do? And where I see the overlap with cynefin and Weick is one of the steps in creating a dynamic non-event, or one of the mindsets, is resist simplifying. And where, you know, there's always a big push in safety and in most things is get it simple, make it simple, make it simple. And while we want to make those things simple, what Weick was talking about was resist simplifying in your solutions. And I think that was, while he didn't mention it directly, it's a recognition of the different context that within a complex context, a simple solution will probably not work. And so you want to avoid, you know, assuming you're in a simple solution or you're in a simple context when it's really more complicated and complex than you would like. And I think some of our bias towards simplicity, I think, to your point, Bob, about linearity, is that we love deconstruction and we love taking things down to those linear relationships. Unfortunately, a lot of people miss that we have to put it back together at the end and make it work. So
Ron, to that end, because me and you talk about reliability and safety all the time, is that statement from Weick also, if you're sitting there talking about the reluctance to simplify.
Yeah.
That also comes from the purpose of investigating things. When you have a complex problem, 5 whys is not the way to go.
No.
But it's the easiest thing to do because it's simple. but
Yeah.
it's not accurate.
What can we take away from all this? Context comes first. We can't come up with solutions if we don't know the problem or where the problem is. Safety is a creation of dynamic non-events. And the best way to do that is being sensitive to what is happening now. And that's making sure that our people recognize they have the individual agency and collaboration and self-determination so that they can adjust their course. I love the James Thurber quote, "There's no exception to the rule, that every rule has an exception." Emergent complexity and complicated scenarios they'll come up, they'll find the ways to reveal solutions that aren't within certain decision-making processes. So we have to make sure everybody at the front line has the capacity and is empowered to act in their own defense as they need to. Rules be damned in that case.